Welcome to Law Excellence Hindu News Analysis. Today we are going to cover these topics and editorials that are appeared on the Hindu newspaper. Now coming to the first article of the day. Now this article is saying that Modi takes up regional security issue with Disnaike. Now what is the context of the news? Now the context of the news is recently elected Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Disnaike visited India. Now in this context, while conversation with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Sri Lankan President said that they won't allow, that is Sri Lanka territory is not allowed to target India or to disturb the regional stability. Okay, now in this discussion they discussed issues of regional security, digital infrastructure, especially digital infrastructure such as UPI. India is now taking very forward steps regarding the fin technology, like financial technology, right? Now to ensure regional economic integration using UPI and things like that is are very important. And Sri Lanka is already accepted a technological transfer regarding the using UPI. Okay, another energy project, for example, India has committed to develop power projects in Tamil Nadu and to accelerate such projects. That is what discussed here. Connectivity issues and Tamil issues and rights, especially regarding that 13th or 14th amendment, things like that. Okay. Now another important issue that India is saying that India will convert the loans given to the Sri Lanka into grants. First of all, what is the difference between loans and grants? Loans means that you have to repay, based on the interest and things like that. Grants means you need not to pay. Okay, that's one thing. Now India said that India will convert the loans given to the Sri Lanka into grants. That's the first thing. Next, India also said that it will, accelerate the infrastructure project. That is Kanke Sundarai Port. Remember this Kanke Sundarai Port that India is committed to develop this port. Okay, this is the issue. Now another issues that are discussed here is about the issues of developmental projects that are stalled, especially regarding recent Adani corruption allegations. In the context of these allegations, Sri Lanka recently stopped the Adani investments and infrastructure projects. Now they are into the investigation. Now that issues are also discussed, and issues of Tamil people are also discussed here. Okay. Now these are the context of the news. From the examination perspective, we have to understand the significance of India-Sri Lanka relations. Okay. Now because this is important, because already 2 or 3 times India-Sri Lanka relations was asked in the UPSC GS paper to international relations. In the international relations, there is a syllabus topic called India and its neighborhood. Right. India and its neighborhood. Now, if you see this previous year question, it was saying that in 2022, this was asked. India is an age-old friend of Sri Lanka. Discuss India's role in recent crisis in Sri Lanka in the light of preceding statement. Now, you know that recently economic crisis was happened. Now, in that context, this question was asked. Okay. So, from the examination perspective, we will see certain significance of the India-Sri Lanka relations and certain challenges. Okay. Now, when it comes to significance, it can be started with historical ties. You know that India and Sri Lanka share deep historical connections, especially through culture, religion. Now, you may have heard about that diplomatic missions, especially regarding spreading Buddhism, was sent during the Ashokan times and things like that. And not only that, it has a ruling of Cholas and things like that. Okay, hence these have strong Indian roots. The Sri Lanka is having strong Indian roots regarding the Buddhism and all those things. Okay, and related to the Tamil culture. Next important thing is economic ties. Now you know that it has been said that India gave around $4 billion since independence, you know, in the form of various type of grants and loans and things like that. Now India helped during worst form of financial crisis also. Like this address the issues of foreign exchange reserve crisis in Sri Lanka also. Now it is been said that India is the one of the major investor in Sri Lanka. Now India also supported during the times of debt restructuring in the recent IMF debt restructuring program, right? Now, India also promoting adoption of UPI here. Now, Sri Lanka has adopted India's UPI services also, right? Now, India and Sri Lanka also accepted having, rupee-based trade settlement, to ensure that bilateral trade is not, affected by the foreign exchange, fluctuations, right? Now, India and Sri Lanka also having free trade agreement, right? And India is the, third largest, export destination for the Sri Lanka after US and UK. Now, 60% of the Sri Lankans exports enjoy the benefit of this, India Sri Lanka free trade agreement. That's why India is a major investor in the Sri Lanka. Now, in terms of the groupings, if you know that now Sri Lanka and India are commonly having membership in the BIMSTEC, and SARC. They can collaborate and converge in many issues regarding this. and it's providing a leadership role. Now, in terms of tourism, now Indians are significantly playing a tourism role in Sri Lanka. Especially, it has been said that Indians are the major tourists, visitors to Sri Lanka. Over 1 lakh tourists, visited in 2022 itself, right? Next issue is the regional stability. Sri Lanka is very significant, especially for the regional stability in the Indo-Pacific region, right? It is in a strategic location also. Why? Because most of the trade that is coming from the West Asia or Western countries pass through this Pak Strait. Hence, stability of the Pakistan, democratic passage of navigable route is very important. For the free, open, and navigable route. Right now, India is also talking about security and growth for all in the region. Now, Sri Lanka plays a very significant role. Not only that, for this significant maritime trade, India and Sri Lanka are also part of this Colombo conclave. This is for the stability of maritime region. Now, all these are the significance of relations. Okay, not only that, to India to counter the China also, this is very important because Sri Lanka has been using by the China in the larger process of its surrounding India with its infrastructure projects in the name of string of pulse policy, right? For example, that China is developing the Sambandh port in Kerala also, and there is a concern that Chinese ships are being berthing in the Sri Lanka. These are the significance. Now, there are certain challenges in the India-Sri Lanka relations also that you have to know. Now, one of the major challenge between the two nations is about Tamil ethnic issues. Now, you know that India has historically been concerned about the welfare and rights of the Tamil people in the Sri Lanka, particularly regarding implementation of the 13th Amendment, right? Now, what is meant by 13th Amendment? Now, it promoted for the or it promised the creation of provincial councils that will give power sharing, to the people. Now, which is saying that not properly implemented. Now, this is one of the issue, right? Another important thing is China's influence. Now, India has concerns about the China's investment in Sri Lanka. For example, just now I mentioned about Hambantota port. Now, Hambantota port, having very proximity to India. Now, this is against the India's interest, right? Now, another important thing is, fisheries dispute. Now, there are issues of illegal fishing. Now, it has been said that, fisherman is entering into the waters of Sri Lanka. Now, more than 100 fishermen are arrested by them, and some of the boats of Indian fishermen are seized. Now, Sri Lanka is complaining India regarding that Indian fishermen are, using bottom trawling. Now, this is against the maritime ecosystem. That is what said by the, in this article, Sri Lankan president. Another dispute is Kachdevu Island dispute. The issue revolves around that ownership and usage right now. Kachdevu Island is presently controlled by the, Sri Lanka, and because of which it is been lot of putting restrictions on the fishing activities of Indian fishermen, right? Now, recently also, Indian External Affairs Minister raised issue on this also, right? Another important thing is, border security and smuggling. Now, that maritime border is very much porous in nature between India and Sri Lanka. There are a lot of border issues such as smuggling of goods, narcotics, now illegal immigrants. Now, all these are the issues between India and Sri Lanka. Okay. Now, these are things you have to remember, at least from the examination perspective, so that you can use this as a keywords in your answers that adds value to. Okay. Now, we will move to the next article. Now, this article is saying that green hydrogen and financing challenge. Okay. Now, what is the context of the news? Now, the context of the news is that that India has launched a program called National Green Hydrogen Mission. Now, in which it has a target of producing 5 million metric tons of hydrogen by annually by 2030. Now, this has to reach this capacity. Now, the author is saying that India can only reach 10% of the target. Now, why? Because of these financing challenges. Okay, that's what the thing mentioned. Now, first of all, from the examination perspective, you have to understand what is meant by the green hydrogen, first of all. Right? Now, before discussing, we will understand the importance of this topic. Now, if we see this UPSC Prelims question 2023, green hydrogen is directly asked. What is the ask? With reference to green hydrogen, consider the following statements. It can be used directly as a fuel for internal combustion. Yes, it is true. It can be blended with natural gas and used as a fuel for a heat or power generation. Yes, this is true. It can be used in hydrogen fuel cell to run vehicles. Yes, this is also true. Now, here all three are correct statements. Okay. Hence, hydrogen as a topic is important both from the prelims perspective and also mains. In mains, energy, as a syllabus topic clearly given. Now, hydrogen, green hydrogen is one of the significant in transition towards the renewable energy, right? Now, it is very much focused in recent years. Hence, this is also very important because UPSC in GS paper 3, previously there are questions about solar energy, wind energy, right? In future, we can also expect questions regarding the green hydrogen also, right? With that context, we will discuss first of all, what is meant by green energy, why such green energy's color significance, and what are the challenges in producing green energy, especially financial challenges that are mentioned in this article, and some of the provisions regarding the national green hydrogen mission. Okay, first of all, what is meant by the green hydrogen? Why it is called green? See, hydrogen is produced by the electrolysis process. Okay, what is meant by electrolysis? In which water is splitted. Water means H2O is splitted into the hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, in which this hydrogen is is used for the energy. That is what the electrolysis. And why it is called green? Because to run this electrolyte, it requires energy, right? Electricity. How this electricity is produced? If it is from renewable energy, this is called green. Okay, if it is from the coal, it is called black hydrogen or brown hydrogen. Now it is from the natural gas, it is called gray hydrogen. Now it is from the nuclear energy, it is called pink hydrogen. Now this is what the significance. Now hydrogen as such has a lot of applications. It can be used in the steel industry. It can be used in the fertilizers industry. How fertilizers? Because fertilizers like ammonia formula is NH3. So this hydrogen is required for fertilizers, right? Hence it is an application. Now this is useful in the transport industry. Just now here itself is mentioned that internal combustion engines, hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. Okay, it is useful in transport infrastructure. It is used in the refinery industries also. Okay, now these are the applications, and that is the color signifies. Now there are certain things that are mentioned in this article. Okay, we will see what is it. Now this article is saying that India has a target of becoming net zero by 2070. Now in this process of transitioning towards a renewable energy, hydrogen energy plays significant role in decarbonizing the India's economy, right? Now, but the author is saying that producing green hydrogen is a very costly process. Now, it has been said that traditional gray hydrogen, that is producing using coal, will require just around $1.9. But to produce green energy or green hydrogen, it requires around $5.3. Hence, it is financially not viable, right? And there is uncertainty in this process, uncertainty in investment. Why? Because presently there is not consistent demand for the hydrogen energy. For example, if someone or private sector want to develop green hydrogen processing plants, they need money, capital. But this capital is very costly because of the lot of uncertainty and risk involved in it. Because of lack of certainty, the cost or interest rates of financing is also very high. Now this is what they mentioned in the article, that is just the challenges of financing. Okay, because of this increasing interest rates, what happened? The cost of capital is high. Because of the cost of capital, after production, the cost of units is also very high. This article itself is mentioned that if 10 to 20% of increase in capital can lead to 70% increase in the cost of hydrogen. Hence, this is not economical viable for the people to use. Hence, this discourages private sector investment and also discourages people to use, or to transition towards a green hydrogen. Now, these are the things that are mentioned in this article. Okay. Hence, the author is saying that we need to create a consistent demand and awareness towards the green hydrogen. And hence, he suggested some of the things regarding the how to de-risk the investments into the green hydrogen. Okay. Now, before that, in this article, one of the mentioned was UK's low carbon green hydrogen standard certification. Now, why it is important? Because see, for example, there is no global standards that standards for processing or producing the green hydrogen. Now, how to store green hydrogen, how to transport green hydrogen, right? There is no standards. Because of there is no standards, a lot of risk involved, right? Because of these things, investments are discouraged. Now, one of the best practice mentioned here is that UK's low carbon hydrogen standard certification. Okay, remember this UK's low carbon hydrogen certification. Okay, this can be used in your examination. Now, this author also mentions certain strategies for de-risking the investments. We will see that first. The author is saying that we require a policy framework that extends beyond production incentives to address the fundamental financial barriers. Okay, what does it mean? It means that though we have production incentives, such as we have production linked incentives. Now the incentives are given based on the production, but the author is saying that we need certain types of incentives before starting the production itself, so that they'll get adequate finance from the bankings or other investors. Next thing, long-term hydrogen purchase agreements. Now, presently, because of the uncertainty that there is no proper consistent demand, who will buy? Now, there is uncertainty in the investors, uncertainty in the producers also. Hence, they are saying that they need long-term hydrogen purchase agreements so that they can confidently produce, and investors will also have confidence so that interest rates will also reduce. Next, partial loan guarantees to reduce investor risks. Now, investors are apprehension that there is no demand. It is difficult to get money back, or it takes longer time to repay back. No, to avoid that thing or to avoid the risk, they are saying that just like how you are guaranteeing investments in the MSMEs, for example, there is credit guarantee trust for MSMEs. Like that, we need partial loan guarantees to reduce the investor risk. This is what saying, so that investors are confident. Next, the regulatory sandboxes. Now, you know that sandboxes is a term generally used in the fintech technology to test the various types of financial, products, financial digital financial products, right? Now, here also it is being that the various types of investment models have to be tested in this, green hydrogen also. That is what mentioned here, because a lot of investment is needed to, develop electrolyzers. Okay, that is what mentioned in this article. Okay, next, Indian banks and financial institutions must develop the products that address the hydrogen's distinctive challenges. There are certain distinctive challenges regarding, especially regarding electrolytes and things like that. Okay, just like we have priority sector lending, to target MSMEs, SCSTs and things like that. We need certain kind of products such as, financing only for the renewable energy products or green hydrogen products, things like that. For example, we have this Jan Dhan Yojana zero bank accounts or Mudra loans for certain things and things like that. Okay, like that, we need certain kind of financial products from the banking so that support green hydrogen. That is the thing. Next, we need to promote green bonds also to provide initial momentum and initial capital for the financing the green hydrogen projects. That is what mentioned. Okay. Next important thing is, as it is difficult to get finance and to get the new equipments, at least we need to promote equipment leasing structures could transform electrolyzer investments and from prohibit upfront cost. That means, what does it mean? Now, if we, buy the equipment, it takes a lot of cost. Hence, investors, are not confident whether they will get the money or not. If we take the lease of equipment so that it is less costly, hence less upfront cost. That is what mentioned, right? Just now we mentioned there is no proper standardized, carbon standards in India, especially regarding hydrogen. The author is saying that we need standardized carbon intensity, hydrogen origin certification, so that it can facilitate exports and bolster trust in India's hydrogen supply chain. Now, India has a target of becoming the global hydrogen hub as per its national green hydrogen policy. Okay, for that we need proper standards, especially regarding the how to transport, how to store them, how to use them, how to facilitate exports and things like that. That is what mentioned. Now, another important best practice mentioned in this article, you can use this in your examination, is hydrogen energy supply chain project between Australia and Japan, in which, because of which, it creates a constant demand, which is called as demand certainty, which is need for large scale investments. Okay, this type of agreement has to be facilitated between India and some other country also. That is what mentioned in this article. Okay. Okay. Now we will see certain provisions regarding the national green hydrogen mission and what are the challenges in using the hydrogen. Now, certain goals mentioned in national green hydrogen mission. Okay. Now this mission is taken up by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Okay. From the prelims perspective, remember this thing. From the mains perspective, some of the targets given is to produce 5 million metric tons of hydrogen, green hydrogen, by annually by 2030. Another important target is that India needs to create a capacity of addition of 125 gigawatts of renewable energy through green hydrogen. That means renewable energy capacity addition of 125 gigawatts to the existing renewable energy through green hydrogen. Okay. Next, it is saying that it is expected that 8 lakh crore investment into the green hydrogen, processing and investment. 6 lakh, employment, direct and indirect full-time jobs will be created. 50 million metric tons of CO2 has to be removed from the atmosphere. This is what the targets mentioned. Okay. Now, certain challenges in using the green hydrogen is that economic viability. Just now, we mentioned that producing green hydrogen is very costly compared to the gray or brown hydrogen. Okay. Next, difficult storage. No, hydrogen gas is highly flammable, hence it requires for storage a lot of high pressure and compression. Now, hence it's difficult. Next, lack of skill. Now, it requires skilled people to handle all these things. Now, it is being said that under this hydrogen mission, around 2.8 lakh new professionals are required. Who have skill in terms of design, manufacturing, planning, installation of this, electrolysis and all these things stuff. Okay, lack of skilled professionals. Next, resource intensive. What does it mean? It is been said that green hydrogen is produced by electrolyzing the water, right? Now, it requires around 9 liters of water per kg of hydrogen. Now, this is as per the IEA, International Energy Agency. Now, hence it is being said that resource intensive again. Now, just now I previously also mentioned there is a lack of global standards, especially regarding carbon intensity, safety. Now, there are lack of proper definitions, how to transport, how to storage, what are the safety guidelines, how to usage or how to handle by the humans. There is no proper guidelines. Okay, these are the things you have to remember or use as a keywords in your answers. Definitely, this will add value to your answer. Okay. Now we will move to the next article. Now this article is saying that how does La Nina affect India's climate? Okay, this is what been asked. The context of the news is that this article is saying that as per the Indian Meteorological Department, La Nina is set to be late. That is, it is expected that it will come in the late 2024, but now it is being changed the date to early 2025. Now, the context of the news is that recently there is increasing, intensity of coldness in the winter season, especially in the cities like southern cities, Bengaluru, Hyderabad. Some people are saying that this is because of the La Nina effect. Now, that is what the mention in this article. But this La Nina as such is a theme is very important from the examination. Why? Because just see this GS paper 1 question. It has been asked that most of the unusual climatic happenings are explained as an outcome of El Nino. Now, you know that El Nino and La Nina are very much related. Now, in tomorrow, a question can be asked regarding La Nina also. Right now, this article is saying that how La Nina affect India's climates. Now, it is been said like that. Okay. Now we will understand what is meant by La Nina, what is meant by El Nino, how it impacts India's climate, weather, monsoon from the examination perspective. Right. Another important thing mentioned in this article is that very rare occurrence that continuously 2020, 2021 and 2022, experienced the La Nina. And in 2023, it experienced in India experienced El Nino. Now, because of which, in these 3 years, India experienced higher average rainfall than it is expected. In 2023, there are lesser rainfalls and extreme heat waves because of the El Nino. Now, this is what mentioned in this article. From the examination perspective, we will study what is meant by La Nina and its effect on India's climate. Okay. Now, as you know that La Nina is a phase of southern oscillation occurs in which the region of the Pacific Ocean, especially regarding the Peru region, it is cooler. Okay. Now the El Nino means nothing but the same region will be become warm than usual. Okay, this is what the La Nina. Okay, it happened in the tropical, mid, and the eastern Pacific Ocean. Okay, it is nothing but La Nina means nothing but cooling of the coast of the Peru region. In fact, you can say like that. El Nino means it is warming of the same region. Okay. Now what happened? During La Nina years, India receives normal or above normal rainfall. Now, why it happened like that? As it is been said that air move from higher temperature to the lower temperature, right? Now, clouds also move like that. Now, when there is cooler temperature here in the eastern side, there is high pressure. Now, high pressure to the low pressure in the Indian side. Okay. Now, India can experience higher rainfall. Now, this is what happening, right? Now, the same phenomena causes droughts in the Africa and intense hurricanes over Atlantic Ocean. Right? These are the effect of the La Nina. Now, similarly, El Nino. El Nino brings, just now I mentioned that 2023 El Nino, we have seen that extreme heat waves and less rainfall. Because El Nino effect is that it brings extreme summers and droughts in India. Now, why it happened? Just now I said that during El Nino, warming of the Peru region. What is meant by the warming means that there is low pressure area. Now, clouds or moisture will travel from high pressure area to low pressure area. Hence, India experience droughts. Okay. Now, this is what mentioned. Now, next, during El Nino, there is seen increasing rainfall in the southern US also. Just now I said that it will travel like this. Okay. Another important thing. Now, this article is saying that because of the climate change issue and all these things, there is increase in the frequency and intensity of both La Nina and El Nino effect. That's why now India is seeing that very harsh winters due to the La Nina. Okay, that is what mentioned. Now, first of all, this article mentions certain effects regarding the La Nina. See, La Nina sees colder nights compared to the normal days. Now, this is one of the impact. Remember from the prelims perspective. UPSC may ask which are the following are likely effect of La Nina and things like that. Because UPSC is previously asked that. Now, daytime temperatures high during La Nina. Now, it is been said that if La Nina sets in, lower temperatures in North India may lead to people to burn more biomass for heating. This lead to worsening of air pollution. Now, another interesting thing is that, but during the La Nina conditions, average wind speed is higher throughout the day. Now, because of which, even though there is an air pollution, these polluted particles can be taken away or transported to the longer distances. Hence, this reduces the vulnerability or risk of the air pollution. Okay. Next, during La Nina, average PBLH is slightly lower during La Nina. Now, what is meant by this PBLH? Like planetary boundary layer height. And what does it mean? It is the lowest atmospheric layer that can be directly influenced by the land and atmospheric interactions. Okay. Now it acts as a in a cloth, or you can say blanket, that traps the air pollutants, which is very dangerous. That is what saying during La Nina it is what happened. But because of the wind speed, average wind speed is higher throughout the day, these pollutants are transferred. That is what said in this article. Okay. Now what is the impact of La Nina and monsoon? Just now we have said that India received less rainfall during more intense El Nino events. And during El Nino events, central India is less affected, okay, because of this interior regions, okay. But La Nina, on the other hand, promote robust monsoon, as evidenced by the normal and above normal rainfall during La Nina. Just now I mentioned that this article is mentioned 2020, 2021, and 2022. Experienced La Nina, yes, okay. There are below normal rains in the El Nino year of 2023, just now I mentioned. Hence, if La Nina arrives in 2025, what happened? Now, these intense heat waves may be avoided, hence, people get relief from the high heat in 2025. Now, this is what mentioned in this article. Okay, these are the things you have to know from the examination perspective. Okay, now we will move to the next article. Now, this article is saying that levy a higher GST rate on tobacco and sugar beverages. Now, sugar beverages means nothing but this Coke, cool drinks and things like that. Okay. Now, what is the context of the news? Now, this article is saying that since the introduction of goods and service tax, there is no increase in the taxation, especially GST rates on the harmful products such as tobacco and sugar sweetening beverages. Now, what happened because of this? Because of this, these products become more affordable, and when there is affordable, people are more consuming. Hence, though there is a lot of campaigns, taken by the various agencies, they are not able to curb their consumption, especially because of this affordability. No, because of this, government taking a decision that to increase the GST rates. Now, how much it is increasing? Now, that presently, they are getting highest, GST rates of 28%, highest slab rate. But now they want to increase it to 35% as per the recommendation of groups of ministers. Okay. Now, it is seen as a welcome step by, especially said by this author. Why he said that? Because this increase, first of all, fiscal address the fiscal challenges of the government, because this increases the revenue. This is the first and foremost thing. And next, this also can be helpful in addressing the public health challenges. Now, why it is been said that public health challenges? Because in this article it is mentioned that daily India is seeing 3,500 daily deaths in terms of the non-communicable diseases. Now, what is meant by the non-communicable diseases? It can be cancer, it can be lung diseases, it can be obesity, it can be diabetes. No, all these are majorly caused by the smoking and using tobacco and products like that, and sugar beverages and all these things. Okay. Now that is what mentioned in this article. Now the author is saying that because of consumption of all these things, and there is a lot of healthcare burden, and that is constitute around 1.5% of GDP. Now this is more than the revenue that is government is getting in terms of taxing revenue. Okay. For that we cannot completely ban the tobacco, because first and foremost, even though we ban the tobacco, because tobacco and all this kind of cigarettes and BDs and all these things, it's a kind of addiction. Hence, people will anyway consume through illegal trade. If illegal trade happen, what happen? If illegal trade is conducted, what happen? Firstly, we cannot curb the consumption, and secondly, it will lose the government revenue also, right? Hence, we cannot go for complete ban, and that is what mentioned in this article. Hence, we need to make sure that we need to increase the GST rate, so that it is very difficult, or at least consumers should think before buying the tobacco products. That is what one thing mentioned. Now, another thing mentioned is that we should avoid the substitution or shifting of tobacco products. What does it mean? Now, government is saying that we should ensure that every type of tobacco products, that can be cigarette, BD, or tobacco and things like that, we should ensure that all of them get the highest GST tax rates of 35% or 40%. Why? Because, for example, if if we call one type of tobacco product, people will shift to another kind. So we should avoid the substitution. We should discourage the substitution. Now that is what mentioned in this article. Okay. Now, another important thing mentioned in this article is that balancing the GST and excise rates. Okay, what does it mean? Now, increasing the GST means it is just one way of curbing the usage of tobacco, because GST is just ad valorem tax. What is meant by ad valorem tax? Now, tax is based on the value of the product. Now, remember this from the film's perspective, because in UPSC there are two concepts called ad valorem and Pigbovian tax. Pigbovian tax. Now, Pigbovian tax is a tax that is imposed to avoid the externalities. Externalities which can be greenhouse gas emissions, or deforestation and things like that. Okay? That is different. Ad valorem tax is tax that is imposed based on the value. That is ad valorem. That is additional value. Things like that. Okay. GST is a type of ad valorem. That is what saying. Now, rather than imposing only GST, we should also impose excise duties also, so that companies also thinks in terms of the production. It is a burden for them. And overall, it will increase the further revenue and further discourage buying because it will become more costly. Okay, this is what said by the author. Okay. Now, these are the things you have to remember from the examination perspective. This is just a new perspective of regarding the GST rates and all these things stuff. Okay. Now we will move to the next article. Now, this article is saying that the hidden cost of greenwashing the Indian Railways. Now, this article is a little bit of criticism towards Indian Railways, mission 100% electrification of railways. Now, this article is one way criticizing the Indian Railways that it is being said that Indian Railways is going to be 100% electrified. Now, this is in commitment of India's net zero emissions, net zero railways and things like that. Now, the author is saying that even though you are going for the 100% electrification, first of all, where this electricity is coming from, that in India 50% of the electricity is coming from the coal. Hence, though you are going for the electrification of Indian Railways, that electricity is coming from the coal, and hence it is not a sustainable way. Hence, it is a way of greenwashing. Now, that is what mentioned in this article. Okay, from the examination perspective, you have to understand greenwashing and some other things mentioned in this article. Why, if you see this previous question, it is been said that what is meant by greenwashing? Conveying false impression that a company's products are eco-friendly and environmentally sound. Yes, this is true. And nothing but greenwashing means companies pretend that their products are eco-friendly and environmentally sound. They are following the sustainable norms and things like that. Actually, they are not. No, this is what greenwashing. Now, other is saying that Indian Railways are also doing that. Now, another important thing, railways as such is an important topic, especially in JS regarding infrastructure and things like that. In PPP also see. Why is PPP required in infrastructural projects? Examine the PPP model in redevelopment of railway stations in India. Okay, hence this topic is important. Now, this context of the news is that recently India got contracts, especially the public sector companies of the Indian Railways got contracts in which they are thinking that they will export some India's diesel locomotives to the African railways. Why? Because India is going for the electrification. Now, the author is saying that 70% of the diesel in India is used in the transport sector. Now, the railways accounts only 3% of this transport. Hence, even if you remove diesel locomotives, you will just only minimal level of diesel, in the consumption in India. Now, you are thinking that going to the electrification will save the foreign exchange reserve because we will reduce diesel, less diesel, and we will also meet the greenhouse gas emission reduction target and things like that. But going for electrification itself is in energy intensive because electricity is coming from the coal, 50% of it coming from the coal, right? That is one of the false statement. That means it is actually not greening. It is actually not sustainable. No, that is what mentioned in this article. Another important compared to the railways, most of the diesel is consumed in India is by the trucks. Agriculture sector, trucks consuming around 28% of the diesel. Agriculture sector consuming around 13% of the diesel. You're just focusing on the diesel locomotives. Which is not a right way. This is what the article is saying. Another important thing is that this article is saying India has around 4,000 diesel locomotives presently. The author is questioning what we will do with these things. And another important thing is that India is not, exporting all the diesel locomotives. This is keeping India 2,500 locomotives with themselves. Now, author is saying that they are saying that these locomotives will be used for disaster management times and things like that. But the author is saying, though you will kept it for disaster management and still it is of no use, hence it is a loss of the taxpayers' money, right? Now, why you are completely shifting to the 100% electrification? Because there is already lifespan of 15 years for these existing diesel locomotives, but you are not using them. Hence, it is wastage of money, right? Another important criticism mentioned in this article is that we are talking about transitioning to the renewable energy or a green railways, but 50% of the railways freight charges or freight revenue is coming from transporting the coal to the thermal power plants. Again, coal is again dirty fuel, right? Contributing to greenhouse gases and pollution and all these things. Hence, whatever you are saying that greening the Indian railways or 100% electrification is all that is just a process of greenwashing and wasting of public money, because you take a lot of money for producing these diesel locomotives. Now already there is a lot of lifespan that is remaining for these diesel locomotives, but you are not using them and keeping them idle. Hence, it is wastage of money also. Neither now present electricity is also coming from 50% of the coal, hence it is not completely green. Now the author is saying that unless and until presently existing 80% of the electricity, if at all, come from the renewable energy or non-fossil fuels, then only you can claim that 100% electrification is in a commitment to the India's net zero. That is what mentioned in this article. Okay, these are the things you can use in GS paper 3 also, right? And things like that. Now that's all for today. Thank you.